Foreign relations of the Philippines, Wikipedia audio. Foreign relations of the Philippines are administered by the President of the Philippines and the Department of Foreign Affairs. Philippine international affairs are influenced by ties to Southeast Asian neighbors, United States, and the Middle East. The Philippines is a founding member of the United Nations, an elected member of the Security Council and participant in the FAO, International Labour Organization, UNESCO, and World Health Organization. Like most nations, the Philippines is a signatory of Interpol. The Philippines is a member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and East Asia Summit. It was formerly a member of the now-defunct Latin Union and the CETO. Declaring itself as independent of any major power bloc of nations, the Philippines is a member of the Non-Aligned Movement. Economically, the Philippines is a participant in the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, Asian Development Bank, the Colombo Plan, Group of 24, G20, G77, the World Bank, Next 11 and the World Trade Organization. Foreign policy. Philippine foreign policy is based on the advancement of Filipino ideals and values, which include the advancement of democracy and advocacy for human rights worldwide. The nation is currently actively engaging with regional neighbors in Southeast Asia through the Association of Southeast Asian Nations with the intention of strengthening regional harmony, stability, and prosperity. It has been a supporter of East Timor since the latter's independence and has expanded trade links with its traditional allies Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. Relations with Vietnam and Cambodia have thawed in the 1990s after their entry into the ASEAN. Senate. Ties to the United States have affected Filipino international relations. The Republic of the Philippines considers itself a staunch ally of the United States and has supported many points of American foreign policy. This is evident in the Philippines' participation in the Iraq War and the War on Terror. Speaking to this support, U.S. President George W. Bush praised the Philippines as a bastion of democracy in the East and called the Philippines America's oldest ally in Asia. President Bush's speech on October 18, 2003 was only the second U.S. presidential address to the Philippine Congress. U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower delivered the first. With a robust relationship to the United States, the administration of former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo sought to establish closer ties to its earlier colonizer, Spain. This was inspired by the attendance of King Juan Carlos and Queen Sofia at the June 12, 1998 celebration honoring the centennial of the Philippines' independence from Spain. President Macapagal-Arroyo made 2 official visits to Spain during her presidency. The Armed Forces of the Philippines has been a participant in various regional conflicts, including the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Recently, the Philippines sent peacekeeping forces to Iraq, in addition to civilian doctors, nurses and police. However, the Filipino mission was later recalled as collateral for the release of a Filipino hostage. As part of a UN peacekeeping operation, Philippine Army General Jaime de los Santos became the first commander of troops responsible for maintaining order in East Timor. The Philippines is in tension with rival international claimants to various land and water territories in the South China Sea. The Philippines is currently in dispute with the People's Republic of China over the Camiguo and Malampaya gas fields. The two countries are also in dispute over the Scarborough Shoal. Additionally, the Philippines has a disputed claim over the Spratly Islands. Relations with other Asian nations have been strong. Japan, which has been an active donor of aid, has close ties with the country. Relations with China have recently been expanded, especially with regards to the economy. The presence of a large South Korean expatriate community has led to the expansion of relations between the two nations. India has also been an important partner, as have countries outside of Asia such as Australia, Mexico, New Zealand, and Saudi Arabia. House of Representatives. In recent years, the Philippines has been distancing itself from the West due to its active role in the non-aligned movement and the G77. This trend is reflected in its recent positions on Kosovo, Iran, and Israel. Despite this, its relations with its defense treaty ally, the United States, remains vigorously strong. Its relations with Japan, Indonesia, Australia, and Vietnam have strengthened into a new depth due to closer regional diplomatic, economic, cultural, and defense cooperation and the flaring tensions in the South China Sea dispute. On the other hand, relations with China continue to deteriorate due to disputes concerning the West Philippine Sea, which is in the eastern portion of the South China Sea. Relations with Malaysia have been in a cordial and diplomatic stance due to safety measures since Malaysia was found to have been funding Islamic terrorist groups in the southern Philippines in the past due to the North Borneo dispute. The country is campaigning for Timor-Leste's membership in ASEAN. The Philippines is an active member in ASEAN with close ties with most of the members of the organization. It is expected to be the biggest economy in ASEAN by 2050. President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev has received the credentials of incoming Ambassador of the Philippines Marilyn Josean Alarilla. During a meeting following the ceremony, the ambassador conveyed greetings of the Philippine President Benigno Aquino III to the Azerbaijani leader. She noted the Philippines was interested in developing the cooperation with Azerbaijan in different areas, including energy, science, and technologies. President Ilham Aliyev said there was good potential for developing Azerbaijan-Philippines relations in many fields, particularly economic one. Vice President of the Philippines. Relations with specific countries and regions. Bangladesh and the Philippines have had a very close and friendly relations since the birth of Bangladesh. The Philippines supported the liberation of Bangladesh and recognized it on February 24, 1972. The Philippine ambassador to the United Nations spoke in favor of the nation during its liberation struggle and also during Bangladesh's admission to the United Nations in 1974. The Philippines has yet to establish diplomatic relations with Bhutan. However, numerous senators and high-profile personalities from the Philippines have visited Bhutan and have expressed their intentions to spread the gross national happiness dogma in the Philippines as it was seen as an effective and efficient way to enhance nationhood building, environment and cultural conservation and propagation, and human rights. In September 2014, the Prime Minister of Bhutan visited the Philippines and the Asian Development Bank headquarters in Manila. In April 2009, the Philippines and Brunei signed a Memorandum of Understanding that seeks to strengthen the bilateral cooperation of the two countries in the fields of agriculture and farm-related trade and investments. The MoU further strengthening bilateral cooperation between the two Southeast Asian countries, particularly in the fields of agriculture and farm-related trade and investments. The two countries have agreed to cooperate in plant science, crops technology, vegetable and fruit preservation, biotechnology, post-harvest technology, livestock, organic agriculture, irrigation and water resources and halal industry. The Philippines voted in favor of UN Resolution 181 concerning the partition of Palestine and the creation of the State of Israel in 1947. The Philippines was among the 33 countries who supported the creation of Israel and the only Asian country who voted for the resolution. The Philippines and Jordan agreed to establish formal diplomatic relations and to exchange ambassadors on March 1, 1976. Diplomatic relations between Kazakhstan and the Philippines were formally established on March 19, 1992. The Philippines maintains relations with Kazakhstan through its embassy in Moscow in Russia. Kazakhstan has an honorary consulate in Manila. Trade between Kazakhstan and the Philippines amounted to $7.3 million during January to November 2010. In 2009, about 1,500 Kazakh tourists visited the Philippines. As of 2009, there are about 7,000 overseas Filipino workers are working in western Kazakhstan, mostly in the oil and gas sector. Kazakhstan is attracting Philippine companies to invest in the country. Asia. Africa. On 2011, Kazakhstan was planning to put up a Kazakhstan House in the Philippines, either in the Bonifacio Global City or Makati, to showcase Kazakh products and promote its tourist destinations. There were also plans to put up a Philippine House in Kazakhstan for the same purpose, and there were also plans to put Filipino art exhibits in Kazakhstan. Americas. Europe. Oceania. Relations with former states. Multilateral relations. Kazakh President Nursultan Nazarbayev and his 27 delegates arrived in the Philippines for a 3-day state visit on November 10, 2003 at the Villamar Air Base in Pasay City. The Kazakh officials met with their Filipino counterparts and conducted meetings. Former Philippine President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo met with Nazarbayev to finalize the Philippines' intent to import oil and coal from Kazakhstan and discussed possible infrastructure projects in the Central Asian country. The Philippines also supported Kazakhstan's bid to become a member of the ASEAN Regional Forum on Security. The Philippines and Nepal established diplomatic relations on February 12, 1960. Both countries are members of the Non-Aligned Movement. There are about 300 Filipinos living in Nepal, who were either missionaries, professionals, skilled workers, volunteers, or spouses of Nepalese or other nationals as of March 2011. Approximately 500 Nepalese students are studying in the Philippines for their higher-level education. Issues. The Philippines was the fifth state to recognize the Republic of Korea and the first ASEAN country to establish relations with South Korea. The Philippines recognize the One China policy but has informal relations to the Republic of China through the Manila Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei and Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Manila. First round of political consultations were held in Tashkent on March 3, 2011 between the Philippines and Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan expressed support for the Philippines' bid to gain observer status in the OIC and hopes for the resolution of the Muslim insurgency mainly affecting the southern part of the Philippines. The Philippines highlighted untapped potentials, despite remote geographical position, for developing trade, economic cooperation and expanding interactions between financial institutions. In 2011, there were about 1,600 Filipinos working in Yemen, with about 1,000 of them staying in the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. Majority of them work in the health and petroleum industry. Yemen supports the Philippines' observer status bid to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and a peaceful resolution to the Islamic insurgency in the Philippines. The Philippines supported the independence of Djibouti and recognized it on June 27, 1977. Djibouti has opened its consulate in the Philippines to maintain relations between the two countries. Equatorial Guinea supported the Philippines' bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. Both the Philippines and Equatorial Guinea were former Spanish colonies. There are about 4,000 Filipino workers in Equatorial Guinea. There has been cordial ties, especially in the fields of trade and investments, agriculture, education, cultural and technical cooperation. The Philippines is interested in partnering with Equatorial Guinean entities to conduct oil exploration and the possibility of importing oil from Equatorial Guinea. The Philippines is also interested in developing infrastructure for seaports to improve cargo handling and delivery. He likewise expressed Philippine interest in developing facilities for seaports to improve cargo handling and delivery. International disputes. The Philippines and Ethiopia signed their first air agreement in 2014. The Philippines has recognized the independence of Ghana on March 6, 1957. Diplomatic relations were established during the recognition of the state. The Republic of Ghana has opened its consulate in the Philippines to extend and render assistance to Ghanaians and help maintain relations between the two countries. Sabah. The Philippines and Côte d'Ivoire established diplomatic relation and recognized a state on August 7, 1960. There were some 100 Filipinos in Côte d'Ivoire, mostly professional and skilled workers and some permanent residents, and the Philippine government had repatriated 10 Filipinos after tensions in the country started following the second round of the 2010 presidential elections. Sierra Leone and the Philippines have pledged to strengthen bilateral relations to the mutual benefit of both countries. The two countries, which are celebrating 20 years of diplomatic relations this week, vow to work further to expand their relations in the socio-economic, political, and cultural fields. Sulawesi Sea Islands. Macclesfield Bank. Scarborough Shoal. The Philippines officially recognized South Sudan as a sovereign and independent state soon after South Sudan declared its independence on July 9, 2011. Bolivia and Philippines were both Spanish colonies. Diplomatic relations between the two countries began in 1970. The Philippine Embassy in Buenos Aires exercised jurisdiction over Bolivia. Furthermore, the Embassy of Bolivia in Tokyo has jurisdiction over the Philippines. Philippine General has 2 honorary consulates in Bolivia in the cities of La Paz and Santa Cruz de la Sierra. There are about 15 Filipinos in Bolivia. Most of them are religious missionaries and others are married with Bolivians. Barbados established formal relations with the Philippines with the signing of a joint communique on the establishment of diplomatic relations in New York on June 22, 2009. The establishment of relations was proposed by Barbados the year before through the Philippines Embassy in Caracas in Venezuela. Barbados is currently under the jurisdiction of the Philippine Embassy in Caracas. Grenada has a consulate in Makati City. The Philippines and Finland share bilateral diplomatic relations established in July 14, 1955. The Philippines had an embassy in Helsinki, closed in 2012 due to a restructuring of the DFA's budget. Finland has an embassy in Manila. The embassy in Manila is also the Finland's representative in some Pacific island nations such as Palau, Micronesia, and Marshall Islands. Diplomatic relations between the Philippines and Sweden were established in 1947, and have steadily intensified during the years. Sweden has long been a development partner of the Philippines. Sweden's cooperation with the Philippines focuses on issues concerning the environment, human rights, good governance, training, and assistance to non-government organizations. The Philippines recognized South Vietnam on July 1955. South Vietnam requested the Philippines to aid them in the Vietnam War. The Philippine Embassy in Saigon ceased operations on April 29, 1975. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations was established on August 8, 1967 in Bangkok, with the signing of the Bangkok Declaration together with Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. The Philippines was one of the founding nations. The European Union and the Philippines shares diplomatic, economic, cultural, and political relations. The European Union has provided €3 million to the Philippines to fight poverty and €6 million for counterterrorism against terrorist groups in the southern Philippines. The European Union is also the third largest trading partner of the Philippines. There are at least 31,961 Europeans living in the Philippines. When the Philippines joined signing the United Nations Charter in San Francisco, United States. This partnership has progressed since then into a number of development initiatives, activities, and programs. Technical, financial, and other forms of assistance to the Philippines began in the late 1940s, as the country recovered from the ravages of World War II. The partnership between the United Nations and the Philippines began in 1945. The Spanish administration governed various Pacific Island colonies from Manila. These include the present-day Guam, and parts of Micronesia, all of which were given separate administrations under American oversight after Spain transferred power to the United States in accordance with the Treaty of Paris. Spanish Manila also governed possessions in Borneo, Halmahera, Taiwan, Pulau Ternate and Pulau Tidore, all of which transferred to non-American entities after the Spanish-American War. Sabah, the largest region which the Philippines claim, is now an integral part of Malaysia. On January 23, 1878, Sulu Sultan Jamalul Alam leased or ceded his territory in Borneo, in which is now Sabah, to Austrian Gustavus von Overbeck. The Sultan was paid 5,000 Malayan dollars per year for the agreement. In 1882, Sabah became a British protectorate, became a British colony after World War II, and joined the Federation of Malaysia in 1963. Philippine Presidents Diosdado Macapagal and Ferdinand Marcos openly claimed Sabah. The latter even ordered Sabah to be put into the Philippine map. Despite challenges of the Philippine government to bring the matter of the dispute to the International Court of Justice, Malaysia still rejects those calls. During 2002, violent mass deportations of illegal Filipinos residing in Sabah resulted in more clamor for the Sabah claim. Up to this day, Malaysia still pays the annual cession payment of 5,300 Malaysian ringgit to the Sultan's heirs. The case of Sipatan and Ligitan, which were in dispute between Malaysia and Indonesia, was taken into the ICJ, in which the former won. Sipatan and Ligitan are technically part of Sabah state, and thus would be part of the claim of the Sulu Sultanate's heir, the Philippines. Macclesfield Bank, located east of the Parasil Islands, distantly southwest of the Pratas Islands and north of the Spratly Islands, is claimed by China and Taiwan. Some sources state that the Philippines claims this underwater feature. However, Jose Zaid, a Philippine diplomat of ambassadorial rank, has written that the Philippines does not claim the Macclesfield Bank. The Scarborough Shoal, located west of Palauk, Zambales, are claimed by the Philippines, the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. The Philippines bases its claim on its close proximity of the Scarborough Shoal to the Philippines. It also says that the Scarborough Shoal is within the Filipino Exclusive Economic Zone and argues terra nullius. A Yuan dynasty map dated as early as 1279 is the basis for the claim of the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. They argue that the area was historically used by their fishermen. The Spratly Islands are a group of islands, reefs, and rocks located about 300 kilometers west of Aborlan, Palawan. The Philippines, along with the People's Republic of China, the Republic of China, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Brunei expressed claims. The Philippines officially staked a claim to some of the islands during the United Nations Convention, although it was first expressed in 1956, when Tomas Cloma, a Philippine mariner, declared some of the eastern Spratlys as a protectorate of the Philippines. Based on proximity and on the United Nations archipelagic doctrine, the Philippines can claim some of the Spratlys as an exclusive economic zone. Whether these arguments would hold up in court is debatable but possibly moot, as the PRC and Vietnam seem unwilling to legally substantiate their claims and have rejected Philippine challenges to take the dispute to the World Maritime Tribunal in Hamburg. Spratly Islands.